बचपन से, और बड़े भैया को गिराने का। ताकत नहीं थी ना, डरता था। आज 20 साल बाद मैं इंजीनियर हूं। अब मेरी कोई भी बनाई हुई चीज किसी से नहीं डरती, क्योंकि आज मेरे पास ताकत है।
अल्ट्राटेक सीमेंट, द इंजीनियर्स चॉइस, क्योंकि इस सीमेंट में जान है।
भैया, अब गिरा के दिखाओ।
गुड न्यूज, डेप्यूटी मैनेजर बनने वाला है।
सच? मुझे भी तुम्हें एक गुड न्यूज देनी है। इंक्रीमेंट की बात कर रही हूँ।
चलो।
कहीं आप अपने सपनों को किस्मत पर तो नहीं छोड़ रहे? बिरला सन लाइफ इंश्योरेंस के प्रोटेक्शन सॉल्यूशंस।
Welcome back. You're watching Global Business Report. Now, crackdowns against the Occupy Wall Street encampments across the United States reached the epicenter of the movement on Tuesday. Police evicted protesters from a Manhattan park, and a judge ruled that their free speech rights do not extend to pitching a tent and setting up camp for months at a time. It was a potentially devastating setback for the movement, but demonstrators pledged to carry on with their message against corporate greed and economic inequality. All right, let's check in on Wall Street futures, which are trading in the red. As you can see, the Dow futures, they're down about 0.7%, 88 points down, holding below the 12,000 mark. The S&P 500 also down roughly a percentage point, or 12 points down, holding at the 1,242 level. But crude is what we need to be looking at. That what you see on your screen right now is NYMEX crude, which did go all the way up to $100 a barrel. It's cooled off a little, holding now at the $99.35 a barrel mark. But Brent is the other one we should be looking at, which is really the benchmark that India needs to be focused on. And Brent has come off a little. It's holding at about $111 a barrel, down about 0.76%. All right, now other news, and Citigroup is planning to cut as many as 900 jobs from its securities and banking division. This move comes as it grapples with uncertainty in equity and debt markets. The job cuts are intended to help cut Citigroup's expenses, and the bank is tentatively weighing a move to cut as many as 3,000 jobs overall, representing approximately 1% of its global workforce, according to the Wall Street Journal. All right, let's check in on financial markets then in Europe and Asia. We're chatting with Andrew Potter in London and Cathy Yang in Hong Kong. But Andrew, let's begin with you. How's trade shaping up across Europe today?
It had been a promising start to the morning as European shares firmed up after the bumpy ride of the past couple of days. They've since slipped back, though, with the pan-European FTSE Eurofirst 300 hanging in the negative zone more often than not. Now, the optimism we saw at the start of trade today came after the European Central Bank was seen spending up large on government bonds. This helped drag yields on Italian 10-year bonds down below the 7% danger mark, which is widely viewed as unsustainable. Now, traders say the ECB is also buying up Spanish debt to try and bring a bit of stability to that country's economy and the wider Eurozone. As has been the case all week, big banks are losing ground today. German car giant Volkswagen has also dipped more than 2%. That's in reaction to new figures showing demand for cars fell 3.7% in October compared to a month earlier. On the flip side, though, Swedish truck maker Volvo says its shipments for October were up by 25%, despite worries about the state of the world economy.
All right, Andrew, we'll come back to you in just a moment, but let's take it across to Cathy. Cathy, markets extended yesterday's declines in Asia. What pushed shares lower today?
Well, it's the same Eurozone problem, but with a twist. Now the investor concern has shifted to the core Eurozone members, such as France, that it too may not escape the contagion. The absence of the sort of circuit breaker, so to speak, to stop the periphery bond yields rising, drove investors to dump stocks in the region. So the benchmark index outside Japan lost over 2% today. Japan's Nikkei 225 index losing just half as much. But here in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng as well as the Shanghai Composite on the mainland were the top losers in the region. We've got the Chinese insurers, the property names leading declines here in Hong Kong. And Shanghai saw its worst daily loss in 2 months. With the financials hardest hit, Not surprisingly, because of that IMF warning yesterday of commercial banks there facing systemic risks. And over in Japan, though, there was one particular stock we've been watching, Olympus. It did get battered since the controversy started for the company. But for a change today, it had bucked the trend. It rallied more than 15% today.
Right, Andrew, now the Bank of England has cut its inflation and GDP forecast. Run us through what they are saying.
Well, yes, the Bank of England has signalled it may pump more cash into the British economy as it hangs on the brink of recession. Governor Mervyn King says market conditions have worsened since August and could stagnate until the middle of next year. He also said there's only so much monetary policy can do to fix the situation. It expects inflation to fall to 1.3% by the end of 2013. It's also revised down its growth forecasts, saying it's a real possibility that growth will fall below 1% for all of next year. Now, the causes of all this are pretty obvious, according to the BOE. The slowdown's being caused by a lessening of global demand and very real concerns about the solvency of some European governments. So certainly a gloomy report. Let's see how markets feel about this as the afternoon progresses.
Right, Cathy, also Bank of Japan has cut the economic outlook for the country. What's the central bank's latest assessment like?
The Bank of Japan sobered up its assessment of its own economy just days after it reported Q3 GDP that officially declared it out of recession. The toned-down assessment, though, is coming from Europe's uncertain situation. Those debt woes that potentially hurt global growth could include Japan's economy. Now, that aside, the persistently strong yen has been the other major drag for exporters. And on top of that, the recent flooding we've been reporting in Thailand disrupting those supply chains of major exporters such as Toshiba and Honda. So the key message from the Bank of Japan is it's going to stay vigilant because of these concerns, and it's going to be ready to ease policy, and that is to boost asset buying when necessary to support its own economy.
All right, Cathy Yang and Andrew Potter, many thanks for coming in with that check on the financial markets in Asia and in Europe. Now, US President Barack Obama is in Australia for a day-and-a-half trip where he will focus on renewing bonds with the country. Addressing a press conference with Prime Minister Julia Gillard, Obama said the US will keep sending a clear message to China that it needs to accept the responsibilities that come with being a world power and play by the rules of the road. He also insisted that the US is not fearful of China's rise.
The main message that I've said, not only publicly but also privately to the Chinese, is that with their rise comes increased responsibilities. It's important for them to play by the rules of the road and, in fact, help underwrite the rules that have allowed so much remarkable economic progress to be made over the last several decades. And that's going to be true on a whole host of issues. So where China is playing by those rules, recognizing its new role, I think this is a win-win situation. There are going to be times where they're not, and we will send a clear message to them that we think that they need to be on track in terms of accepting the rules and responsibilities that come with being a world power.
Now, dozens of people are reported to have died in continuing unrest across Syria. The U.S. State Department has released new details of the numbers of civilians killed in the country after the Arab League acted in a near-unanimous vote to suspend Syria from the group and asked President Assad to step down. Mark Toner, spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, has said that the U.S. was quite pleased with the strong and forceful statements that came from the Arab League and was looking for a similar tone to come from today's meeting as well.
We have it from our embassy in Damascus that 42 civilians were killed by regime forces on November 14th. We've certainly seen reports with estimates that number significantly higher, but that's what we've been able to determine. This goes on top of the 87 civilians that were killed by regime forces between November 11th and 13th. A lot of these were protesters who were out celebrating the Arab League decision and calling for Assad to step down. We look for the Arab League tomorrow to again send a forceful message to Assad that he needs to allow for a democratic transition to take place and to end the violence against his people.
All right, we're going to take a quick break on Global Business Report, but coming up on the show, a handwritten letter by Paul McCartney fetches more than $55,000 at an auction at Christie's.
Everyone has a summit to conquer, but the road is not always easy. For 27 years, we have found ways to give everyone an equal opportunity to participate, because a fair chance is everyone's birthright. When we say we change rules to change lives, we mean it. DHFL, changing rules, changing lives.
Under the DMIC project, Manesar has been taken as one of the eco-cities in North India, because we already have developed industrial area with surrounding by residential areas and other such facilities. So all the ingredients which are part of a smart city, we already have them available in Manesar.
Brought to you by Spire Edge.
एक वक्त सब कुछ था, बड़ा घर, खानदान और हाँ, सिल्वर स्पून. लेकिन सबसे करीब था एक सवाल: Have I made it large? सिल्वर स्क्रीन में उतरना था और फिर लोगों के दिलों में लंगड़ा त्यागी पहुंच ही गया. और पहुंचा वही सवाल: Have I made it large? आज सिल्वर स्पून की जगह ब्लैक गिटार है. आज भी सबसे करीब वही सवाल है: Have I made it large?
Seagram's Royal Stag Mega Music. It's your life. Make it large.
चश्मा कहाँ है? कहाँ रखा था मैंने? I have given up. No, given up worrying. एक चीज मैंने सीखी है: जब अपनों का साथ हो तो फिक्र क्यों?
आप ही से मिली सीखों को अपनाकर हम बनाते हैं हमारे इंश्योरेंस सॉल्यूशंस, ताकि आप जिए बेफिक्र. एसएमएस कीजिए लाइफ 56070 पर या लॉग ऑन कीजिए bajajalianz.com पर. बजाज आलियांज, जियो बेफिक्र.
Are you in the network? The one you need to be a member of. That network is Apna Circle. Apna Circle is the most effective local and global networking site for professionals. Join Apna Circle today. Apna Circle, where your circle is more powerful than you think.
Welcome back. You're watching Global Business Report. A quick wrap of all the other news that's making headlines across the world. Now, after a 12-year hiatus, Kermit the Frog is back on the big screen with all of his Muppet co-stars. Jason Segel, who also appears in the film with Amy Adams, co-wrote the script. The Muppets opens in theatres next week. A handwritten letter by Paul McCartney fetched more than $55,000 at an auction on Tuesday in London. The letter was part of memorabilia from rockers like the Beatles and the Who, which went under the hammer at an auction at Christie's in London. Comprising of over 200 items, the rock and pop memorabilia sale featured everything from instruments and clothing to awards and signed items. Lady Gaga did it with bacon. Countless designers have tried newspaper, but making clothing from milk is another challenge altogether. Now, a German designer has achieved just that, and she's attracting interest from buyers as far away as Brazil and Australia. Designer Anki Domaske insists her fabric does not smell or have to be kept in the refrigerator, although it is almost entirely made from milk. Alright, that's all the time we have on Global Business Report. Thanks very much for watching. Up next is Business Express.
Before you realize, your loved ones will grow. What about your money? For incredible investment opportunities, talk to SMC. MoneyWise, be wise.
Welcome to the world of Swiss. Experience unparalleled comfort in Swiss business. Swiss, the quality airline from Switzerland.
If you feel rodents.